Hi there, my name is Sonia. Welcome to the Brown Homestead if you're joining us for the first time. I'm a volunteer here and we're going to be taking you through planting, growing, caring for, and eventually transplanting seedlings out into the garden. Come along with us. Last time we introduced the 4 questions to keep in mind when garden planting. Those were why, where, how, and when. Today's video, we're going to build on what we learned and tackle the when and the how. In our last video, we covered hardiness zones and frost dates. And whatever resource you use to find out your last frost date in the spring will probably also tell you your first frost date in the fall. And that generally is going to tell you what your growing season is. For the most part, you can direct sow most seeds and transplants in the soil once the last frost date is passed and have harvestable produce by the time the first frost comes around. When you're looking at seed packets or catalogs, you'll probably see days to maturity or harvest. In some cases, it'll just say days. And that'll tell you how long it's going to take from the time that your seed or seedling goes into the soil to the time that you actually get harvestable produce. And that means your seed could be started inside, but once your transplant goes outside, that's when the clock starts ticking. Some plants need a longer growing season, like your brassicas, that's your broccoli, your cauliflower, and some like a lot of heat, that's your eggplants and your peppers, and some like the cold, that's your kale and your dark leafy greens. You can accommodate these seeds with season extension techniques like starting seeds indoors, greenhouses, hoop tunnels, cloches, cold frames, etc. Here at the Brown Homestead, we're going to be starting some seeds indoors. First off, you're going to want to sterilize everything. A simple bleach solution should do the trick. And you're just going to want to spray everything down and you're creating essentially a sterile, clean environment, a clean room. The idea is you want to minimize the possibility of introducing spores and control for pest eggs and larvae. You want containers to hold soil but drain freely. You don't want to use containers that are too deep right off the bat because you won't be able to regulate the water retention. For your growing medium, you're going to want something a little different than just garden soil. The soil that you get from your garden, if you put it in your seedling tray, is just going to compact and turn into concrete. So what you want is something nice, light, fluffy, and inert that is going to allow the roots to push through. You can make your own. You can use commercially available seeding mix. Avoid mixes with peat, as peat is not sustainable. You're going to wet the soil to the consistency of a wrung out sponge, and you're going to fill the containers or cells almost to the top. Sow your seeds to the recommended depth on the seed packet and then sprinkle some more soil on top. Don't forget to label your trays so you know which seeds have been planted. I often use masking tape and a Sharpie, but you could also go with some good old popsicle sticks. You can also repurpose a yogurt container by slicing some strips into it and cutting those off, and the advantage of that is they're waterproof. When you initially plant your seeds, you're going to water them in, and then subsequently after that, you're probably going to want to bottom water them. And that just gives the roots a chance to sort of seek down into the water and draw it up. The seed has all it needs to germinate and feed that first little shoot, but once it germinates, you can start supplementing by adding some organic water-soluble fertilizer like worm castings or compost tea when you water. A good watering once a week should be fine. Remember, you want to maintain the consistency of a wrung-out sponge. Next, you need a fan. It'll circulate the air, evening out the temperature and evaporating excess moisture, which should keep mold and fungus in check. It will also acclimate seeds to outdoor conditions by simulating wind. Finally, you need a light source, preferably tube and not bulb. You're looking for 2 numbers, 6,500 K, Kelvin, or 2,000 lumens or higher. This might be enough warmth to stimulate germination, but a specialized heat pad can generally get things going. That's the basics in terms of setup. You've got soil, containers, water, air circulation, light, heat, all the basics of life. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.